Hi everyone, John Hand here, and the Pulsing Cinema movie of the day is Swamp Thing, the original Wes Craven theatrical movie adaptation of Swamp Thing from the early 80s, an adaptation of the DC comic. Now, I've already done a video here, a pretty nice in-depth video covering Swamp Thing and mainly comparing the original European release of Swamp Thing, which had some extra scenes of sex, with the US PG related release of Swamp Thing, which is still a good release here. That video has a lot of information here because basically the bottom line was the international version of Swamp Thing was accidentally released in the US with a PG rating, and some mother complained about it because she rented it for her kids and she saw all this sex in it, and MGM freaked out and they reissued the movie with basically a cut version, the original PG cut, which when I go into in that video is that they actually kind of released a hybrid version. They didn't release the original version. They actually just took the international cut and just cut the scenes out, but it has a different audio mix. But in any case, that's kind of academic, and go into that other video and check that out. The movie itself, is it that great? Well, I mean, it was that era, it was that point of time in Wes Craven's career where he was just doing journeyman work, you know. He had not hit it big from Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes, and then he'd done like Deadly Blessing, and then he'd done some TV movies like House of Fear, I think it was that Linda Blair possession film, and some things like that. So at this point, he was just a hired gun to go out and do this movie. And superhero movies at this point, I make a point here in my original Swamp Thing video that superhero movies were still kind of gimmicky and jokey. You had Dick Donner's Superman, but it was still very bright and sunny, and this was before Tim Burton's Batman, before Christopher Nolan's vision of the Dark Knight, and then way before, you know, the billion-dollar Marvel machine of the Avengers and Iron Man and all of that bullshit. So, but this was the early 80s, and, you know, you had like, you know, this was a few years after this. You know, Albert Pyun would make like Captain America, and there'd be like the Fantastic Four produced by Roger Corman, and then you had Spider-Man was like a late 70s TV series. It just looked horrible, you know. The world and the visual effects technology had just not caught up to superhero comic books. It just was not at that point where you could do a good, credible superhero film. But the only good, credible superhero film was Dick Donner's Superman, really, that I can think of. And that's about it. Doc Strange, you know. So Swamp Thing was a group of people just kind of taking a stab at it, and it was kind of a position really kind of nice because it had some horror film elements to it, it had some mad scientist elements to it, and it had Adrienne Barbeau. So, you know, that's all you need for a good movie. So hopefully we all know the story of Swamp Thing. Alec Holland, a scientist, is his nemesis, Arcane, you know, invades his research laboratory, and they think they've killed Alec Holland, but actually he's transformed into this hulking mass of the Swamp Thing, which is in the half human, or maybe not even human. He's more kind of plant life than human, and there's some good stuff here. Good stuff in this film. Ray Wise plays Alec Holland, and the original way that Ray Wise signed on to this film because he also wanted to play the Swamp Thing as well. And this film had a lot of problems from the beginning. From the very start, Ray Wise wants to play the Alec Cullen, and then he wants to play the transformed Swamp Thing. But he doesn't have that mask to play the Swamp Thing, so they got a stuntman, Dick Durock, who had been in like Clint Eastwood films. He'd been in a lot of different films. He's a guy who is very tall yet very lanky. And he's a good suit actor. He would become a good suit actor because from this film forward, he really became Swamp Thing. He played Swamp Thing in the sequel, Return of the Swamp Thing, and then in the Swamp Thing TV series. And the plan was originally that Dick Durock was going to do the big, wide shots, do the stunt stuff, and then Ray Wise was going to have an identical costume, and he was going to go in and do the actual character stuff where you get close-ups of the Swamp Thing's face. That wasn't working very early on. That was kind of jettisoned. The makeup effects had a lot of problems. The alkaline base of the swampy water there started eating away at the foam rubber costumes and was just causing hell. People were falling out. People were just falling unconscious. They were, from the heat, it was a nightmare shoot. And the final product is an interesting film. It's a film that used to play on cable in the early 80s. I mean, I think that was one of the first big movies that on Showtime or Cinemax or HBO when my parents first, because cable when it first came out was actually quite inexpensive. That really people of average or even lower income could get a full range of cable channels very cheaply. So my parents got a full slate of cable channels, and they used to play Swamp Thing over and over and over and over and over, and they used to play Blade Runner as well over pretty frequently. Swamp Thing was like a staple, and I'd watch it, and for a kids movie I liked it. It was good. And Adrienne Barbeau again, Ray Wise, and Dick Durock is such a good. He does give, he does have some emotional levels that he can go to. He's quite a good suit actor. He found his calling in the Swamp Thing, and sadly Dick Durock has passed away. But the end scene, after Adrienne Barbeau and Dick Durock, they've gotten rid of Arcane. And Adrienne Barbeau's like, I want to help you. I want to continue your work, and then Dick Durock looks out at her and he's like, with these hands? And he just looks so sad. And you see him, this portrait of this person who's lost so much and has to go on and is about to go on this other journey, in his life. So it's like Dick Durock is in a separate film. In Dick Durock's mind, he's being directed by like the greatest, comic book. He's being directed by J.J. Abrams, and he has the incredible suit that he'd later wear. But I mean, he really is in a low rent, early '80s comic book fantasy movie. It's a great film. I don't know. I think overall it's a great film. It has a lot of problems, but I think Dick Durock elevates it, and my childhood nostalgia also elevated probably many notches higher than where it really deserves to be. And then also the soundtrack by Harry Manfredini. He got Manfredini through Sean Cunningham. Sean Cunningham, who produced, they'd worked on what Craven Cunningham had done Last House on the Left, and Cunningham had gone off and done Friday the 13th, which was scored by Harry Manfredini. He does a score that's very much a Harry Manfredini score here. Has a lot of strings and a very nice emotional theme, though. That wasn't really in Friday the 13th. A very romantic, emotional theme for Alec Holland / Swamp Thing. It's quite good and quite stunning. And then there's also some good action themes, and you got David Hess, who is playing basically like a Krug-like character. David Hess from Last House on the Left playing one of Arcane's henchmen. And Louis Jourdan, of course, as the Anton Arcane, Quite a good. I mean, he's Louis Jourdan, the late Louis Jourdan, recently passed away. Great actor, great actor. You know, he became a different character between the Swamp Thing and then the Return of the Swamp Thing. First of all, I don't know how the hell he changed back into human form from but don't think about that. Uh, but in any case, good film, some okay special effects, rather clumpy special effects, which were melting in the jungle bog. Not much to say about Wes Craven's direction. It is what it is, and I guess it could have been much, much, much worse. And yeah, Swamp Thing. I like it.